it forces reposition. Oh my god. This is the clip. I saw this clip posted in my Discord. BWAAAAAM! Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. It's Sunday night, and normally this would be review night, but you may or may not know that there's been a patch recently. There's actually been a couple of patches, and as a result, replay's broke. What are you going to do? Now, a few intrepid viewers did, in fact, submit some replays. We may take a look at those, may look at some top-rank ladder games, try and break those down, see what we can learn thanks to the new maps and new phobies. So let's get into it. What's going on, chat? How's everybody doing? Hope I get something good for my gold pack. I hope you do as well. What's the next phobia you want that isn't an ultra rare? Hey, just random, what's good? That's a good question, because I don't know off the top of my head what I'm missing any longer. It isn't an ultra rare. Poison Ivy. I think unequivocally, like, I don't even really need to scroll through. I'm going to just for the sake of it, but, like, Poison Ivy might actually be the only one I'm missing at this point. Yeah, it looks like it's Poison Ivy by default, but it would have been Poison Ivy anyway. You got Fire Ant from your Dreadful? Nice! Congrats! Congrats. We may play some games also, speaking of grinding the event. We'll see. And Muffin, that sounds pretty solid. Both of those pretty good. I definitely heard some good things about Fire Ant. Muffin has already put up numbers, we'll say, on stream on many occasions. Cupcake and Muffin, so you are the terror of the bakery, or the terror from the bakery, one might say. Before we get into things, just want to let everybody know that, of course, I am part of the content affiliate program. That means the Phobies team does give me coffee for producing Phobies content, so if that influences your opinion, well, gotta let you know up front so you know what the story is. But we're gonna jump into it. Let's see what we've got. Yeah, I don't know, chat. We could do a few games. I think we have like 4 or 5. I face a Just Random in Arena who has a level 5 Fire Ant, though, is mostly a throwaway game, kind of. I mean, that's probably who we're talking to right now. That's probably who we're talking about if they just got it. Let's see. So, yeah, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 unique people in the list right now. One person had submitted 3 independent games, so we'll probably start the night. We'll look at these games, and then we'll add on, like I said, some higher level game breakdowns, and maybe it'll just be a shorter game review setup. We'll see how tonight goes. All right, starting off with one of the new maps, Potenzia, our hero here. This is why you play units that actually counter Hydra. Transaction Declined is one of the best maps to showcase that. All right, let's see. Let's see what you got. I'm curious, and as mentioned, this may end up being a shorter viewer review session because the patch broke a whole lot of games. We may look at some higher level game breakdowns, some of the top ladder players, just to see what they're doing on these new maps. But it does seem, at least on Transaction Declined here, that we're getting to view the early stages of the meta. Hydra, I could definitely see being threatening on this map, certainly if you don't respond. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see. You won the 3 weeks war on the spider that lived under your bed? There's like an entire short story in that sentence alone. By the way, triple panic point advantage bad guy. We did observe a game last night where there was a incredibly aggressive start from player 2 that ended up ultimately losing, but it showed some promise, so we'll see what happens here. This Hydra with no fear, just walking right up to the cassowary, plus with the Innocuous here as follow-up. But our hero here not showing any reason to, like, or rather not, let me rephrase that. They're not showing any fear with respect to these panic points. Bad guy choosing to just back off kind of makes sense. I tried Hydra Blondie on this map, but it was kind of close, but still lost. Yeah. So here's something cute that is going to happen on these conveyor belt maps. Someone is going to lose because they vacated something and their opponent is able to conveyor belt forward and flip the panic points in their favor, and then their opponent wins because they suddenly have panic point control. You know, like, if our hero here, for example, already had one of these points, so it was 2-1 orange, and then they pushed forward, and now it's 2-1 blue, I expect that to happen at some point. But notably here, the conveyor belts do give our one movers, such as Hydra here, a big advantage, or potential big advantage, because now Hydra's all up on this Innoculus, which is now dead. Get wrecked, Innoculus. By the way, that Hydra's all the way on the heart, too. Seems pretty dangerous. I have a feeling it was multiple spiders, Taco. I don't know if that makes you feel better or not, but, like, I feel as though that sounds like it was multiple spiders. Since your Blondie's level 8 and you're level 14 Hydra, yeah, I mean, that seems like a pretty significant disparity. Alright, so I'm not gonna lie, this Hydra doesn't seem like it's doing a whole hell of a lot yet. And it's certainly not going to for the remainder of this game, but it did get some value here. Obviously, 5 keys. Well, 5 keys, so it's even right now. But trading out the Innoculus is pretty significant. And you're, of course, getting extra value here, because surprise, Cassowary's toast. Oh, you can't kill the jar. I was like, why didn't you just kill the jar? But you can't. At least not that way. You have to trade positions here, and all of a sudden, bad guy? Yeah. So here's what Hydra did. Hydra soaked up so much attention from bad guy that the rest of this was able to just pressure. Now, admittedly, our hero here is going to suffer some losses. It's not enough. It's not enough. Bad guy only has 3 keys to respond. They're down panic points. There's an enormous amount of pressure. Bad guy's in a bad spot. Bad guy is in a very bad spot here. Could bad guy have even really... Like, what were they going to respond with at this point? To counter the Hydra. They're not going to go, like, Thunder Rocks. I guess they could have. Realistically, I don't think it's about the counter or lack thereof to the Hydra. It's more that they sacrificed their Innoculus because they didn't recognize that it would have been thrown, or the Hydra would have been thrown into the fray quicker thanks to the conveyor belt. Imagine if that Innoculus lived, either because it had positioned differently or simply because they left the cassowary where it was, something like that. Just like that. Droney, lol. Not even necessary. Just hit end turn instead. GG. GG. Yeah, transaction decline seems as though it's actually going to represent much more aggression than I was initially thinking. Or at least potentially. Maybe it's just people getting used to the map. You know, in most games when things are undefined and unknown, it's not uncommon for the most aggressive strategies to win because simply you don't know where you can afford to slack, where you can afford to give ground so that you can go over the top and take control of the game. Because you're still feeling that out. Until people get more comfortable, it's entirely possible we're going to be seeing a lot more of this and people getting their head beat in. GG. Hope I win the winter war on the beetles that are entering my house. Their movements have been low, but I found one today. It's all quite... I've been fortunate that I haven't seen too many bugs. I've seen a few creepy crawlies. I mean, I escorted the spider out of my home the other day on stream. I found some silverfish. A one. It was a small one. Supposedly, my wife was saying that it's supposed to be a bad winter for bugs or bad fall for bugs as far as, like, there's going to be a lot. We'll see. We got a little Bean of Evil action here on Morbidity. By the way, shout out to Bean of Evil, one of the contest winners, and we have one of their maps, Rise to Stardom, in the map rotation at the moment, so shout out to Bean there. The notes here are Goons Race to Face. So it's Goons plural. There's no apostrophe, so I don't know if both players have goon or if this is intended to be goons and they were being lazy about the punctuation. Like goons possessive. So we'll see here. You love this map? This is an interesting map. I don't know how I feel about it yet. I've only played this map once, I think, up to this point. I've gotten Rise to Stardom, played on it multiple times. Yeah, a little Clopster. Very early. Well, both players have Clopster early on. Why? Some pretty high-level Clopsters, I'm not going to lie. But yeah, I haven't played... I think I've only played this map once. I played Coin to Me a few times. And I think I've only played Transaction Declined like once. Alright, so we get the early creep poison. I don't quite get this Gesundheit here. This feels weird. I don't know. YouTube, let me know down in the comments, or chat, let me know. Like, do you like Gesundheit here? There's a lot of people who swear by Gesundheit, and I'm not really one of them. This is inviting disaster. Okay, never mind. Yeah, this should be safe because you can't kill it with simply this. Like, you don't have enough damage. You'd need the Clopster to get an extra hit because nothing else will reach, and then you can't send Droney or something. Like, it just won't get far enough. I don't think there's really a need to put it there, though. Like, there's no reason to expose it. Seems like it can discourage enemy from taking the point. Which point? This one? Because, like, this one... Like, your opponent's not likely to take it for a very long time. So, what happened with Bean's Hevo here is kind of more what I was expecting. And that is, you place the Daisy on the back one and then just get it pushed forward as you need. Like, there's no reason to take the damage here. At all. Alright, so we get a little Temptress action. What's cute here is... Well, actually, the Temptress probably... Actually, I don't know. I don't know which of these would get booped first. Point is it's possible the Temptress gets booped back onto this if you were to go for it, and then it just gets pushed forward anyway. But... excuse me. Didn't matter anyway. Didn't matter anyway. Pterodactyl coming out of Bean. I haven't played Pterodactyl in a while, chat. I need to get back to that. I like Pterodactyl. Little Blulian here. This is a very interesting mix. You use Pterodactyl a ton on this map. How could you have played this map a ton, like, at all? Oh, this is a great play. Boop. Got him. Get wrecked, nerd. Now, admittedly, your trade... Uh-oh, there's the goon! Probably trading out 4 keys for 4 keys, but who cares about that? Because we've got the Goon Squad. It's the Goon Squad, baby. Little slapshot BWAAAAM action, and I've gotten to use Goon in a couple of games thus far. Did open in that big pack opening video I was referencing, and yeah. Seems alright. It seems pretty good. It's my first BWAAAAM effect. Skating over to the front line. Yep. I do love the the leg bone, I guess, arm bone, hockey stick. This thing's gotta be dead, right? Like, there's just no way it lives. Nope. Noxious, huh? I don't know about that. What's Goon? Goon is from the new update. This is the lowest cost BWAAAAM effect to date. Slapshot. It's a line attack. And Goon has some actually pretty redonkulous stats. I didn't really realize it until I used it in a game, and I'm like, oh, it actually represents a lot of damage early on, as in, like, low level. There's also Puff. Yeah, but Puff cost... Does Puff cost 6 or 7? I thought Puff cost 7. It might only be 6, in which case it's not technically the lowest cost BWAAAAM. It's only 6, fair. Get a little damage on the heart, thanks to that Contortio. Do have to get the larger retreat here, otherwise, of course, you're going to get pushed forward by the conveyor belt. Notably, the Gesundheit does not move because if people aren't aware, since the tiles are new, non-flying Phobies. Of course, your stasis Phobies like Raucous and Boomer will not move either, but notably, flying Phobies will not get moved by the conveyor belt. Hence why Gesundheit didn't get pushed. I don't know if Bad Guy was counting on that or not, but either way, not happening. Speaking of spiders... Chat, I did actually listen to the audiobook for Children of Time, which is, I mentioned it on stream before, that it's a book about a civilization of sentient spiders. There's a lot more going on in that book other than just that, but I think that alone is enough to be like, wait, what? I thought it was pretty cool. It was definitely interesting world building. I felt that the author did a pretty interesting job of explaining how a society, like global society of spiders, would work. So I thought it was kind of cool. Ooh, very aggressive push from Bad Guy here, given that our hero is both strewn across the top and spread out across the board. Only 5 keys remaining for each player. I've never heard of that book, Taco. I don't know what that is. I still have a list of both movie show, well, not both, movie shows and books that I want to try and go through. I like this boop. Get that disease and poison on Noxious. That irony can be pretty ironic. By the way, Noxious also filling out our heroes team. Of course, the repositioning here. Bad Guy, like this looked bad at first, but our heroes now able to bunch to a degree. Death Ball a little bit up here, and they're in a position where they can threaten a variety of different things and not really risk too much retaliation. It's possible Hevo can die here, but it feels very unlikely. Okay, maybe it's fairly likely. This is actually a dead Hevo, but things are going to be bunched for Noxious. Things are going to be lined up for a little BWAAAAM action. And, of course, you have a Yoink to further cement things if you want to reposition them. So how is Bean going to ruin Bad Guy's day? Because this going into this kind of turn just feels as though, like, something real bad is about to happen to you. It's just a question of what. I haven't seen anyone use the disease tiles to lower the disease damage. That's actually a pretty cool play, Steven, now that you mention it. That's actually a pretty cool and interesting play. But it's probably going to necessitate, like... I love the regular attack animation for Goon, where he just whoops the shit out of people. Like, this is probably an early candidate for our thumbnail. Just because of Goon. Like, putting the new Phobies on thumbnails is always good. But, yeah, the play of, like, walking your guy that got diseased by, say, Smiley onto the disease tile so that you can lower disease. That would be interesting. Disease tiles can't replace disease effects that have higher damage. Is that confirmed, Ozarius? DT is saying as well. Okay, huh. Does it work for the poison tiles? Like, are the disease tiles unique? I would assume not, and it won't work for the poison tiles. Like, that has not come up before. Klopster's mouth. Yeah, Klopster's screaming. Get back! Fall back! Fall back! A big old poison drop. Slap. The mucus monster strikes again. Panic point advantage hero. Whole team on the heart just about. The dev said something about that since it would just be easy to replace the disease with very weak damage. Fair. I don't know. I mean, I get it. I get it. But at the same time, I kind of feel as though it would be interesting to allow that as a heads-up play. It would be interesting for a little bit, and then everybody would know it, right? Because as soon as it happens, everybody would go ballistic and be like, oh, look at how cool this is. That's a Morty. And maybe in the end, it's not that cool of a play, but it feels similar to a healing spa that's tucked in a corner where you have to, like, trek across the map to try and do something. It forces reposition. Oh, my God. This is the clip. I saw this clip posted in my Discord. BWAAAAAM! All right, that's going to be the intro. That's going to be the intro. That play is dope. How often do you see this sort of thing? Like, all right, you soften somebody up, but then you get behind their heart and use their heart to BWAAAAM everything. This is ridiculous. Oh, baby! Woo! Yeah, that seems pretty good. Oh god, Goon gets a quad hit. I don't know why that was so difficult to say. Can you imagine being on the other end of that? There is no world in which bad guy, because they were absolutely panicking. They're like, I gotta get on the heart. I gotta get on the heart. I'm gonna lose. I can't defend this. And then Goon just says, get wrecked, nerd. Just absolutely mollywopped. Just bodied. Whomped, if you will. Quad hit, double kill. Seems okay. GG. Goon's new name is Goon Lagoon. I know, you keep trying to make that happen, but it's too much. It's too much. It's too much. Chat, that was actually, I'm going to have to pull that as a clip. Hopefully I remember to do that. Because, like, that's a worthwhile clip. That's clip-worthy, right? It's a new phobie. It's a cool play. Maybe that'll be the one that gets me another big one. Because, honestly, somebody was asking about this the other day, but, like, the Heartbreaker short that I posted from, like, I don't know how many pack openings ago, still gets views. Because the algorithm, like, because it hits X thousands of views, the algorithm keeps pushing it. Because it's like, oh, well, people must just love this. It's like, I guess. I don't understand how I don't understand the YouTube algorithm at all. But I especially don't understand how the Shorts algorithm works. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. So the irony here is our hero is just random, but Renamon's our next game on deck. So we'll see what's going on in this one. The notes here are Fire Ant Gaming. Fire Ant Gaming. I agree with the YouTube part stuff. I posted months ago, get like hundreds of views every day, but I stopped posting now and only gets like 10 a day. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. Wait, Renamon. What? The Poison Ivy opener. That's a bold move there, Cotton. Our hero in this instance is JustRandomSt. We'll see. JustRandomSt, as we've said on many occasions before. The snowball opener is something I haven't seen in a while on this map. I think Goon is very good here. We tried it last night, and Goon Gonzo is kind of silly. It's kind of silly. I don't know the exact build order yet, or how soon you need to get Goon online, but it feels like you don't need it that early. You'll eventually get value out of it. Double Trapper here. All right. Sucks that I can get Nightmare Jason this year. I mean, he'll come back next Friday the 13th, but still that guy's OP. What is that on MKX Mobile, I assume? Trading out 1 keys here. Ooh, not trading out 1 keys. Oh no, that doesn't seem good. One might go as far as to say that is bad. Yep, there's the old Fire Ant. They just added MK1 Scorpion, MK Mobile. Nice. Yeah, I had to borrow my wife's iPad because there's a Transformers Clash Royale clone that's available. Somebody posted about it in my Discord, and I'm like, oh, I forgot about that game. My wife has an iPad, so it's only available on iOS, which sucks. So I can't play it on my phone. That is one of the few games, Clash Royale, that feels like it was designed for mobile, the way the format is, so it feels less painful to play it than a lot of other games. I saw their level 5 Fire Ant, so I wanted to show up my level 16 Fire Ant. Ha! Yeah, Renamon and JustRandom are both in chat. Renamon saying this is a throwaway game. Let's see what the players do here. I mean, we do get a little global warming action here. Tickles, you love to see them. My newfound... I mean, I loved Tickles before, but... Clash Royale Transformers? Yeah, Taco posted about it in my Discord. You can check it out on the Video Games channel. Mortal Kombat Onslaught comes out soon? Yes, it does. I'm very curious about that game. I don't really quite understand what it is, but I'll give it a try. Anything Mortal Kombat for me, basically. I do also want to... I mean, I've talked about it before. I want to get... either get a console or hopefully they patch the PC version of Mortal Kombat 1. I'm very excited to play that. Looks like Star Wars Galaxy Heroes. I thought that was a card game. Biscotti! Little spaghetti action. I had that for lunch today. Not this biscotti. Just some regular spaghetti. This spaghetti is probably gross. This spaghetti is rancid! It might be. I don't know. Do you think Piscetti is like a delicacy in Phobie world? You have to imagine that the Phobies eat each other, right? Like Venus probably eats Maggie, right? I like to believe that they respawn. And I don't know how that would change the relationship. Because presumably, based on the Vendy hunt... the Phobies do have interpersonal relationships or interphobie relationships. And beyond just the relationships, it's not just, oh, they know each other and they hang out. It's like they actually have specific, like they like this phobie. They don't like that phobie. Because remember, there were suspects in world during the Phobie hunt, or the Vendy hunt, where they thought it was, well, this phobie doesn't like Vendy, and this one hates that phobie, and blah, blah, blah. So it's definitely very interesting. Bad guy, unfortunately, walking into the obvious here to a degree. This presumably ensures that it's going to die to the fire, get the cowbell takedown. 1 key to 0. Where are the traps for this Fire Ant? I really thought there was a Fire Ant trap here. It must have just been the Baba Yaga one, and that's why. So it couldn't be replaced? Can you replace your own traps? I don't think you can. You can tell how often I've used traps. I love Fire Ant, but right now my Fire Ant's main attack feels like slapping a phobie with a napkin from a kid's birthday party that's on fire for some reason. That sounds like it would still hurt a lot. It's still on fire. It also sounds like that Verizon commercial. Triple panic point advantage, just not a lot of breathing room for bad guy here. I know we were rambling on about a lot of stuff, but... There's not more traps here. Is there a way to... I guess you just kill this and then you take over. Yeah, you only have 50 health left, so you can kill the Contortio and just take the point and win. I was about to say, like, how do you get at this heart? But you don't actually have to. You can just win by panic points. It's that simple, chat. Levels don't matter. Levels don't matter. You simply just beat the levels. Or something like that. GG. GG. Alright, we go from Renamon as the bad guy to Renamon as our hero, but still on Home Sweet Home. A very close game is all we get out of the notes. A lot of mystery in this one. Gotta be mysterious. Just got an ad with the sound and I could see streams, so when I was talking, I thought he was saying a McDonald's ad. I guess you're watching on mobile. Ooh, we get the Grimes opener. It's a bold move there, Cotton. Yeah, on mobile, you still, like, if you keep chat popped out, it'll move, like, the stream so you can see it. Although ads are weird on different platforms. Like, I think Twitch sets them up differently. Why? Why? Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. You know what? I think the Grimes model is actually really cool that it doesn't show the eyes. Does Grimes have 2 thumbs? Do you say, like... Also, what the hell? Like, Daisy, whoa. Daisy just ate, like, a Super Mario Brothers mushroom. Turning it to the Hulk here. Even Rusty's like, what? But seriously, like, Daisy looks like it's about to slap the heck out of Grimes. Daisy is just like, come here, I'm gonna slap the shit out of you right now. But seriously, like, look at Grimes' hand here. So, like, I'm assuming this top one is the thumb. Like, imagine you're holding something like, here's a pen, right? Like, my thumb wraps around it, like, that way, right? Trying to, like, I can't do this and show it in frame. So, like, it wraps around, right, on top. Then you get a finger coming back. But then the other one looks like it's going forward, like there's 2 thumbs and then 1 finger, like this. Cursed image of Daisy standing on its 2 legs like a dog. I mean, cats can do that too. I've definitely seen pictures and videos of cats doing that. I don't think I've seen, like, big hunting cats do it. Other than, like, oh, they're jumping and they're leaning against something, but, like... Anazardi has 1 thumb and 3 fingers? Yeah, there are discrepancies between the art and the model. There aren't a lot of them, but there are a few. And, like, I get it. It's fine. I just, like, we've watched a lot of Phobies, chat, over this going on. It's going to be 2 years in a few months, chat. A few more months, it'll be 2 years. Oh, maybe more than a few months, but, like, you get what I'm saying. Actually, wait. It's March, right? So, it's less than 6 months away. What? On what planet is this the appropriate thing to do? Okay. Alright, alright. This makes a little more sense. However, this still feels like you're about to get punished really hard. When day did Phobies come out? I think it was March 20th, I want to say. Somebody will have to correct me. Wait, what? I guess that's really just to, lock off the spa? Phobies' birthday felt like it was only a few months ago? Yeah, you're not wrong. So for anybody curious, 8:52. Because people are going to ask in the comments. A little muffin action. Bad guy's still with 5 keys available, though. So does our hero. Little Hevo action. I'm a little surprised by not putting the Hevo here to body block. Mostly to body block the heart, to be honest. Less the jar, but because if bad guy takes time off to hit the jar, that means they're not hitting the heart. But obviously, bad guy can't kill any of these with just the cassowary. You're going to need help, and obviously didn't have the numbers to quite get it done. Although, actually, I mean, I guess this is fine, too. Maybe the assumption here was that the Murder Wing wouldn't stay, and you needed to block the cassowary out from going in. You definitely had to body block one of them, right? Panic point 1, claimed. We gotta see a droney or a, snowball, right? Nope, misanthrope. Whoa. Misanthrope. 1092. Grimes gets a double kill. Almost 2k damage, even. This is such an obnoxious play from bad guy. Such an obnoxious play. Now, ooh, Tooth Fairy in all its creepy glory. I clicked on and all the teeth popped out. That's kind of gross. Notably, a tractor can come down here and yoink. You got a tractor? Grats, Ozarius. Ooh, going with this. Alright, fair. Down goes the monkey. Primate number 9 eats it. So, I assume this still had an action. I don't think we missed it. You don't claim this point because then it just dies. And then they can claim a triple panic point advantage, and obviously, yeah, that's going to end poorly for you. So definitely a heads-up play by Renamon there. This Grimes is feasting. Little flashbang there. Little flashbangage. You got Goon. Grats. Enjoy. Good heads-up play, continuing to occupy the panic points. Although you're getting all 3 here, but it ensures that bad guy can't just slide in. Very patient game. Very patient game. Definitely very close. Bad guy with the aggression. Almost got there. Almost got there. Grimes can take out half of Cerberus's health now. Yeah, that Grimes is pretty scary. A scary dude. Down goes Toothberry. GG. Well played, Renamon. That was actually very well played. Like I said, very patient game, despite the aggression. Definitely worked out. Conductor can make Undead a bit more tanky in a way. So I think the goal for Conductor is to run Snappy and Bad Side Manners out there, because they are tanky enough to begin with that they could, if your opponent ever lets them connect, you can leech a ton of life. The problem is that they are so slow, I think your opponent can literally just walk away from them. And it's not going to matter. I said it before, but I expect Conductor to be bad. Because I think a world in which Conductor is good is probably unhealthy. Like, Conductor, if Conductor is good, it's probably broken. Is the way I'd put it. I think if Conductor is good, I think it would end up being broken. I don't know that I hate to say that it's not possible for it to be balanced. But I think in order to balance this and have it just be good, like a reasonable play, then I think that we need way more time and a way more static meta than we have. Because then you can make this the only variable that you're adjusting. That being said, I think at level 1, it only has like 100 less health than Hevo. Which, I don't know, maybe that doesn't sound as impressive. But like, it's kind of tanky. It represents some good damage, even though it's melee. I don't know how you would ever, like, do this, the Symphony, and then connect with it, but, like, hypothetically, you could do it. Pretty sure Hevo has 1800 health. I thought I had 19, but that could be true. I could just check, but I'm not going to. You got Hevo 3.0? Nice. Fire Ant first nav Hevo. Welcome to global warming gaming. I think Jaws just looks awesome. I feel like Conductor is somewhere between Bluelian and Leshy. I mean, that's an enormous gap if you're talking just general power level. But I don't really look at Conductor as a healer either, because notably, and this is Undead, you can't be healed or cured. So, like, big part of the spas and even Leshy is that it gets rid of poison. Poison's still fairly effective against Undead. I feel like Jaws' attack animation should be a biting attack. I don't actually remember what the animation is. So many new phobies to figure out and find out. Yeah, like, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff. And we're going to do... I think we'll do one more game from the list, because we're now into dupe territory. And then we'll go looking for some interesting games to try and break down. See if we can pick up any strategies, or if anybody has cool phobies being shown. Alright, Potenzia is back. Transaction decline. Very rare sighting of Onion Man doing stuff. That's actually interesting. That's interesting. Isn't 30% healing very strong on Conductor? I mean, it could be, but it presumes that the things that are going to be getting healed are already in a position to do so, and it would be advantageous. Because remember, it's not increasing their base HP or anything, so if your opponent can collapse and kill them, they can still do that. But yes, it answered the 30... It's in addition to the baseline undead regeneration. Or leech. It's level 1 gaming? Ooh, it is level 1 gaming. Level 1 gaming. So we do have a repeat of the Hydra, if you recall, all the way back to the beginning of the stream. It was, in fact, Potenzia on this map with Hydra. So we're seeing a similar opener here. Bad guy responding in a unique fashion here. I don't quite get the... Alright. So I don't get the primate. But the real question I have, chat, of the games you played on this map, have you seen a lot of Boom? Because it feels like Boom is a very common play thus far. We watched maybe like 10 games on this map. And then I played one of those 10, I think. And it feels like 6 or 7 of them had Boom showing up. Now, I know a lot of people like to use Boom in general. And I generally don't agree with many of the usages, but... Alright, this is a little weird from our hero. So the double hit here from Unicorn means that you can't get the Hydra going across the top. Although, admittedly, maybe you didn't want to, because here it's probably going to take less damage than if it was sitting next to Wiggy. Little Gravedigger action. Boom can be used as bait. I mean, there's a lot of cute plays you can make with Boom, and at a 1-key investment, it's not an enormous amount. I'm more observing that it's showing up a lot on this map in particular, which makes me wonder, like, is it a better than usual defensive tool? You know, something like that. Bachelors slapping the snot out of each other. Boom freeing up space on the team. Yeah, this is, it's probably not a dead, no, it's definitely not a dead Hydra. Interesting that bad guy did not leap. Like, they could have done a leap and then walked away. They didn't have to stay there, but they didn't bother doing the leap at all. Unless I had the wrong view of the cooldowns. Onion Man! So what do you start with? 6k health? Boom is mad. Yep. You start with 6,800 health? On the heart? Is that true? Well, we can go back to the beginning of the game and see, but... It's just such a weird number. Once again, the Hydra just soaking up an absolutely enormous amount of damage. Like, look at how much effort had to be put into killing that Hydra. And now, Onion Man, Shrek himself, going ham. And just like that, nearly evening up the health totals. Misanthrope? This is obviously for body blocking purposes, but that just seems weird. Down goes Corn. I don't really agree with the, like... I don't know why Bad Guy sent both of these here. I feel like one of them should be trying to help deal with Onion Boy. Yeah, the big maps having 8,000 health sounds right. I thought the small ones had 6,000, not 68, but maybe I'm wrong. See, like, if one of these was up here instead, it could help supplement here. Because now, bad guys' forces have to rotate all the way around. That may not matter. Because this is now a lot of pressure on our hero's heart. And there's not a lot of time left in this game, but I feel like our hero's kind of toast. Minotaur! One key remaining to 0. Down goes Wiggy. Yeah, our hero's in a pretty rough spot here, I'm not gonna lie. Panic point advantage, bad guy. A lot of damage from the Onion Man himself, but not quite enough to actually matter. I don't know that those 3 keys being something else instead of Minotaur would have made a significant difference. But GG either way. Shout out to Potenzia for submitting a loss. We do get to see the Onion Man himself do something kind of cool. I'm still not a fan of this guy. He just doesn't... I don't know. It's a cute idea. I still feel that it should be a percentage of the heart health, and then just change the UI so that it's more obvious when it's going to activate. I mean, of course, you could just say, hey, players, do the math, but... It, I don't know, it just doesn't seem like it does enough most of the time, and this was probably one of the better showcases for it, and still wasn't significant enough, so, GG. We can actually look at that real quick, just to check the heart health since we were talking about it. Ogre feels more like a defensive phobia than an offensive one. I think, yeah, it's 6,000 for small maps. I thought so. Check out Bachelor airdropping in. I could definitely see the argument that that Ogre is defensive rather than offensive. However, I just don't know that it's very good at all. It just doesn't feel like it's doing enough. I think Sparky is... They're the same model. That's why I'm comparing these. Basically the same model. I feel like Sparky is better at its stated purpose than Ogre is at its stated purpose. Level up Ogre? No. Besides Cupcake and Muffin, what phobie would taste the best? Good question. I'm gonna go with Spud. I'm gonna go with Spud. Unicorn probably would be good. I think that's a safe bet, but I mean, I love potatoes. I'd say Klepto because he's a chicken. Chickens aren't the only animals to lay eggs. Like... Klepto could be a lot of different things. How dare you disrespect the funky chicken? I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that fowl is not going to taste very good. I'm gonna go out on... Aside from the after effects, I don't think fowl would taste very good. I'm surprised nobody went with Dozer. You make an argument for Russell and Edgar. I do love potatoes and corn myself. I mean, yeah, DT, I'm with you. The salmonella does add flavor, yes, but flavor can be good or bad. That doesn't mean that it's a good flavor. Like, that's not necessarily a good thing. Maybe some Octonauty? What does Edgar do? It's a map-wide gonzo. Just much worse. Ginseng tea with honey is very nice. I'll take your word on it. And I think there's a crack in my glass. This definitely feels like it's starting to crack. I really like this glass. I'm gonna be disappointed. Bad sushi go crazy? No. It's literally called bad sushi. I'm not eating that. Like, that sounds like... As much as foul as inviting disaster, bad sushi also sounds like, yeah, that's just a mistake. You done messed up. Sparky is blueberry flavored. I don't like blueberries. I don't like blueberries. What about Squiggles, chat? You think Squiggles has a... What kind of taste is Squiggles? Misanthrope is the best, though. Very good crunch. Squiggles is bubblegum. Yeah, I can see it. I can see it. Oh, man. Well, I know there's a bunch of people who've said in chat that, like, Henrietta or Sock Assin or Mus Moffat would be theirs. We've had a number of people that said they're big fans of Fried Spider, so, like... I guess. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say... not this guy. Shit. I forgot the ladder was gonna reset, so, like... People eat anything. If it's edible, somebody's... And if it's not edible, people have eaten it. Cerberus. So we're going hunting for games to break down, chat. Alright, so since the patches broke all of the replays, the replay list is very short. So we're just kind of combing through the ladder, trying to find some high-level, high-ranking players that had decent games against other high-ranking players that are at least somewhat similar in stress levels, so we can see if we can pick up new strategies with either new phobies on the new maps, or ideally, both. So we're jumping in here with AGK versus Darkrai. We're just going to let it play and see. Now, I talked about this when we did the first impressions. Going first and going Snowball here definitely feels very magnificent. You get this center point, you can immediately start to threaten these. Now, Darkrai here responds with, and the only reason I know what they're doing is because I skipped through to make sure, like, we're looking at it's an actual game kind of thing. Responds with Hevo and Cowbell. Now, aside from being able to dodge the tiles here, I want to call attention to this. You obviously ignore the disease tiles, they're mechs, right? However, the thing is that with this Snowball opener, a lot of people, especially when you first get Snowball, are going to go, hey, I can immediately get up here and take this panic point. Well, the problem is you can actually body block in the Snowball at that point. You put the Cowbell here or here, put the Hevo in the other spot, and now all of a sudden that Snowball's trapped. You could go here, but then, of course, double hit from this and Cowbell. So now AGK has to vacate. You can't push aggressively or you risk just losing the Snowball for freezies. Probably a very obvious thing to most high-level players, but I want to call it out because I imagine there's going to be a lot of people that are either frustrated with, oh, I'm going second, how do I stop this Snowball? Or you're going first and you have Snowball and you think you have free reign, and you don't. But this map does remind me of Magnificent to a degree. I like the ideas of this map. There's definitely some interesting plays I think that can happen here. So we get the Ray, obviously, to try and shoo away this Hevo. Notably, we haven't seen any Terraformers from either player. Both players are ignoring the bottom panic point for the time being. 3-2 in favor of AGK. And we get Baba Yaga, which to me is really interesting. Like, I don't know why. Not that it's bad here. This is somewhat aggressive, but I like that it's getting backed up. If you just sent the Ray there, it would be exposed. But the fact that you sent in these, and then of course you're supplementing it, means that there is more pressure applied if AGK wants to go in. Because I don't think there's enough damage to snipe the Ray here. We'll find out momentarily, but Baba Yaga doesn't care. This can't be a dead Jin Sting, can it? Oh no! Not like this. That is an enormous tempo loss. Feels bad, man. So, chat, I know we have some pretty solid ladder players in chat. We always have them hanging out. And, of course, on YouTube as well. Is this just game over? I mean, we know that the game doesn't last much longer than this, so we're cheating a little bit. But that definitely feels backbreaking. Like, in a ferociously painful way. And this almost feels like Darkrai is just kind of giving up. Doing this really aggressive push here. Now, admittedly, AGK can't kill everything here. Like, clearly these are pretty tanky. The Ray is protected and can vacate if it needs to. But there's going to be a lot of damage going down here, hypothetically. This is a really good trap placement because now you've already put the fear of God into your opponent by murking the Jin Sting that put its roots out of line. However, the Inoculus also is not going to want to advance too far because, well, obvious reasons. And the follow-up Ray here kind of cuts it off entirely, to be honest. Oh, that Jin Sting's in for a bad day. Big panic point advantage, though. Slammerhead for some reason. Admittedly, the Slammerhead had almost 2450. 2447 to be exact. Decent amount of heart damage, but it's still over 5k health, over 5100 health. It's just not any longer, but it's still a lot of health left on this heart. Body block for the Evo to prevent the Ray from just annihilating it, although it probably wouldn't have to begin with. Now the panic points are swinging back into Blue's favor. By the way, a little Morty action. This is a play that comes up on these maps with these, like, protected panic points. It's not uncommon to get the Morty snipe. You know, we see it on Vile Vortis every once in a while. So why not boop the Ray? Just for the sake of, like, a little bit of extra damage with the disease. I mean, it can reposition wherever it needs to, and obviously the offense is now stunted. Honestly, the tempo loss from the Jin Sting felt backbreaking. Yeah, there was a lot of pressure from Darkrai trying to push here. but it was never going to get there, right? So I've told these anecdotes before, but it was most commonly, like, this happens in card games a lot, but it was very easily exemplified in the Transformers card game, where because of the way the game played, there was a lot of determinism. It was, okay, we've made these decisions. The game is going to, unless one of us makes an egregious mistake, like, the game will naturally progress to a certain state where player 1 will always win and player 2 cannot possibly win. And in this case, it kind of felt like that. As soon as the Jin Sting died, this aggression happened, and it was just like, you're never going to kill the heart. As long as AGK doesn't fall asleep at the wheel, you're not going to get there. I don't hate the idea of just like, look, I'm going to go for it. I made a big mistake. My tempo was broken because I lost the Jin Sting. And trust me, I'm a master of doing this, so I'm not beating up on Darkrai. I've lost tons of games where I just go, this guy's fine, and then just gets annihilated. But in this case, the Jin Sting goes down. You try to push. There's no real follow-up because this is a long run. You have to honor your opponent being clustered here, so you kind of have to do an end around. You're just never getting there. 10 keys still remaining for both players, and the game's over on turn 13. GG. All right, so here we are. Hyperite versus Stelios. These are both very high stress level players, although Hyperite, notably, I believe finished the ladder last season at rank number 1. Definitely was ranked number 1 when I was looking at it last night. Maybe somebody overtook them in the intervening hours, but who knows. But as mentioned earlier, we're taking a peek at games because, well, the patch broke a lot of stuff, so we want to see, hey, is there something we can learn from these? What are we going to do? What's wrong with Boss? It is among the most hated Phobies. Among the most hated of Phobies in the game. We know Boss is coming, so I'll explain when we get there as to why. So we get the chip damage going down here, a little bit more than chip damage, kind of a big old swipe from Castaway onto the cowbell here. You still only have one Hevo, the old Hevo, the version 1.0. It's interesting to me that it's Hevo 2.0 and 3.0, but they don't call it Hevo 1.0. If that was going to happen, Taco, I think that would have happened by now. I mean, I could be wrong, but... So this is a cool play later that was set up on turn 2. Admittedly, it's only turn 5 now. But you got the leap to soften up the cowbell, so then you get the break and the stabby comes in. Gravedigger has a lot of utility, as we've seen. A lot. Like, let's be real. But this is cute just to snipe the 1 key. Removing any game piece from your opponent is when you're at high levels, and even when you're not at high levels, but... it forces your opponent into weird scenarios. It requires more of them because of the tempo loss, because of the panic point loss, etc. So this is actually pretty important. It might seem trivial, but being able to get that cowbell without having to burn a lot of effort is important. Now, we're just ultimately trading panic points here to a degree. However, Hyperi can swing here towards the bottom, probably kill this Contortio, and then recap this point and maintain a 3-1, since now the Stabby is going to be able to slide back and forth. Now, what could happen here is that we're going to see this Stabby take this spot, because then it's already here, so it's going to get 2 hits compared to 1 hit from Hyperite. But we'll see how the players actually want to do it. Hyperite has banked to 8, and Stelios to 9, so I think we know what's coming out this turn. Ooh, we actually get the body block here, so this the Terraform block. So this prevents not just the retaliation hits. So yeah, you took a little, you can see the health difference. You took a little bit of damage on the reflect, but you get the bigger chunk onto their Stabby. But here is the big boss man himself. So if you're not familiar with Boss, you'll get familiar with Boss. Boss is the boogeyman. It's up there, as I mentioned a little while ago, one of the most hated phobies in the game. It's very tanky. It is very threatening. and your fired presents an enormous AoE that lasts for a long time, arguably. I mean, it's only 2 turns, but that's more than a lot of effects. Normally the effect is, say off Snowball, it's a 1 turn. It actually lasts for a while, and this means that Stelios is kind of on a clock. Maxed out here is Hyper Eat, 3 Phobies, 9 keys, but the board position is, of course, worse for Stelios than it is for Hyper Eat. And without a Terraform that had softened up the blocks, aka removing them, it's difficult to position in a way that you don't just get annihilated by boss. However, the answer is Mildred. I guess Stelios has been taking notes out of Big She's playbook. Level 23 Mildred, by the way. (21, 23, 23, 21, 17). What the hell is Stabby doing? Is Stabby dancing? 17, whoop, 15, 17. This is a pretty significant level disparity. I love this play, though. I love this play. We saw in one of the submitted review games, Goon use the heart to cook their opponent. Now it's boss's turn. Let him cook. Sniping the jar because 296 fire damage. That's one of the big things about boss that is frustrating because, of course, jar is very common, right? Like, jar shows up in virtually every game. Boss can almost always cook a jar, and it is very difficult to protect it. And I'm confident that Stelios thought that jar was safe. It's behind an obstacle. If they come after you and try and hit the Mildred, great. You're gonna get annihilated by Mildred. But in this case, no such luck. Ooh, we get a Gonzo to supplement the Mildred. I don't know that that's necessary. Big She, if you're out there, let us know your thoughts. Personally, it kind of feels like the Gonzo is overkill. Sure, there are scenarios where Gonzo matters, but like, now you're on 4 1-movers. Boss is on your heart. This just feels unnecessary. Interesting. Going after the Stabby here. One-shotting said Stabby. Dealing some splash to everything else. 2 keys remaining to 3. Ooh, it's blue. Blue is cute. I love blue. What level is this blue, though? Level 17 blue. A meager health pool. Cassowary going down, doesn't care. Panic point advantage, we get Jackalope. I'll be honest, I don't hate the Jackalopes here because it's a lot of 1-movers. That Jackalope is effectively immortal. 2 keys remaining for Stelios. That's a cupcake. That's also a juiced boss. And a quad panic point advantage, most likely. Yep. Lol. Yeah, the concession came in after this, and there was realistically nothing that could be done. Yeah, you could lob here, but you're not going to kill it. You can't stack these. This is also a level 15 cupcake, by the way. This was well played. I think it was a combination of both well played by Hyper Eat and Stelios, I think, just didn't have the right response. I mean, Mildred is cute on this map, but, like, going all 1-movers just about not great. GG. Let's take a look at a Hakune game. Shout out to Hakune. Spoiler alert, Hakune loses this game. I'll admit Dr. Diabetes has a better name than mine, Dr. Traffic. Yeah. That name, like, it really did make me laugh. So, yeah, we're zoning in here on one of the new maps. Are those async games? I didn't see when we loaded in. Hakune loses hard on this game? Did you already see this one, Taco? Hakune notably banking to 6. Not spending the extra key from their initial allotment. Well, dramatic loss could mean that they surrendered. So if you surrender, or your opponent surrenders, you get a crushing win / dramatic loss, respectively, right off the bat. So, like, Hakune, it may be a close game, and then Hakune just said, all right, the game's lost, I'm going to surrender. Which, yes, technically it's not the correct thing to do because you lose out on resources and blah, 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 but we've beaten that horse to death as far as, like, trying to get that corrected. Or how I feel about it and how it should be corrected. By the way, also shout out to the various tombstones. We've talked about a lot of them, but, like, you can see the little fish bones here coming out of the cat tombstone, and then, like, this worm over here. I really, really like this tile set. So, unsurprisingly, on a map with a lot of disease tiles, that we're seeing a lot of mechs. So here's the question, because Inoculus and Attractor, more so Inoculus than Attractor, are vulnerable to cupcakes or other buffs and things just diving and sniping them, because it's difficult to be close enough and not be vulnerable. What about Zappy here? Zappy is very tanky, it's mech, so it can avoid this, and people tend to go mech, so then it also plays into, like, the counter role. Same, the artist did a great job on this theme. Yeah, like, this theme is awesome. I didn't even talk about this. Whoop. I didn't mean to do that, but we'll replay the turn. Like, on the gates to the cemetery. Like, I assume this is supposed to be a jackalope. It's the only phobia I can think of, and then that's, like, Russell / Edgar. This is far and away my favorite tile set. This is far and away my favorite tile set. I actually posted some new toy pictures. Hey, speaking of Zappy, I posted some new toy pictures that kind of fit this theme today, chat, to Discord and to YouTube. Well, I posted one to YouTube. I always have Oopsie Baby and Inoculus in this map so far. Ooh, Akira. All right. So, we'll see how broken Akira is here. But yeah, I tried Oopsie Baby on this map the first time I zoned into it. I threw that game super hard because it was like my first game back kind of thing. The, what I always like to call the Hakune play, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, actually not maxed out. This is an earlier boom than usual we see out of Hakune, but still, same kind of thing. If you max out, you can always pop it, plus the boom is a threat. You get it. Bachelor. Doing the Bachelor. And of course we get the big retreat here to avoid the yoinks. I'm not sold on the smiley here, but the position of these disease tiles means that Akira does not have a whole lot of room to run away from said smiley. You can definitely do some juggling to make this stuff happen. Alright, this is a dead cassowary? Pop goes the cassowary. This is kind of bold. I'm a little surprised that the Akira's going in. But Fireball is down. 2 hits from here and 1 from here is not a ton. It's not an enormous amount of damage. So I don't hate this sequence of plays. 10 keys left for Hakune, 18 left for Tristan. It was somebody, chat. I was going through the ladder the other day. and going through people's games, and there's somebody whose in-game name is literally just Jeremy, which is hilarious to me. I love it when people have just, like, regular names instead of, like, Dream Killer 420 360 no scope XXX. Like, it's just Jeff or Bob. It's just really funny to me. He's active in Discord too? I must keep missing them then. So I paused not just for the anecdote, but also another Mildred. This is a level 12 Mildred walking into a veritable minefield of threats here from Akune. Akira did take a beating, but there is a Clinico. Panic point advantage is in favor of Akune, so at some point, our orange player is going to have to do something. Yes. Ah, yes, Jeremy. World Ender. Shout out to Jeremy. So notably, I did make the error earlier, and Chad had corrected it, that you can't... If you get diseased by Smiley, you can't overwrite it with the disease tiles. That's a solid boom hit. Maybe not, like, on-to-level boom hits, but solid. I get the sense Akune's too greedy here, maybe? Yeah, I guess there's just not enough damage in order to kill the Smiley. But, like, this is okay. I don't think this Hevo can die. Actually, it's entirely possible this Hevo dies. Yeah. Like, that was a... Ooh. Over 1,000 damage from that. This Hevo should be dead. Yep. I mean, that's a fair trade, I think. If Hevo for their Mildred, I guess that's fair. I feel like you could have... Like, keep the Hevo, let the Snowball die? Wouldn't that have been better? Alright, Ray comes in to even out the panic points. We get the Clinico body block to ensure no displacement here, although realistically this Bowmangles is just dead. We already saw what happened to Hevo. Temptress? Really? That feels like desperation. You can't tell me that Temptress is your best play here. First of all, I don't think there's a best play for Temptress. I always joke about Rusty being the useless Phobie. Temptress is pretty bad. It can do stuff, don't get me wrong, but a lot of the time Temptress just feels like, nah, it's not worth it. And all of a sudden, this Smiley, virtually uncontested, Harley. There's a baby. Repositioning on the Snowball. Like, Akune just feels like they're in a really rough spot because you just don't have... Like, how are you going to deal with this Smiley? The Smiley can kind of zone you out for a very long time. Now, by the same token, you have a long time. But I have no idea how you deal with the Zappy. It just kind of feels like it's impossible. About even on hard health, but not... Like... I think Orange has a slight advantage. Alright, so what does our Orange player do on this turn to lock the game up? Just some repositioning here, and then the game ends. So can Hakune win from this point? Probably not, right? Like, there's just no way to engage. You can yoinks, but you're not going to get the hits that you need. You'd have to, like... Tristan Galaxy Eater got the best of Hakune. Yeah, it seems like it. This is something that's interesting to me about this map. Is that it does have a... It has a Heart Rush through line to it. Because if you think about it... What was that other map from the last patch? Diabolical? I think it was, with the disease tiles. And then people just learn that it can get really difficult to defend once you get onto their heart. Now, this is a big panic point advantage on top of you have stuff in position and other things that are nearly there. And we watched a few games earlier where, although the heart-rushing player lost, they nearly got there. And like I said at the time, it felt like there was no world in which they were going to get there. But you can very much see the line of play where it's, hey, you're low enough. I'm going to go for it, and you cannot stop me. Is that going to happen here? There's still over 5,600 health. But realistically, how does Hakune actually combat what is on the board? Like I said, I just don't know that you can ever kill Zappy. And you're probably never going to get things to connect with Hevo. In conjunction with the panic point advantage, this feels really, really hard, verging on impossible for Hakune to come back. I think it requires either one egregious mistake or two middling mistakes by our orange player in order for Hakune to get this game. But either way, GG. So believe it or not, chat, Akira can lose. Akira can lose. All right, we're taking a look at Rise to Stardom. Let's see what happens here. This was identical stress levels, so it caught my eye. This, as mentioned on many occasions, Bean of Evil's map submission, one of the contest winners, similar to Miss Cha's map, the Once lore from way back when. Although, as I've also mentioned on multiple occasions, this one seems to have been created with far less malice than the Once lore. The Once lore absolutely feels like Miss Cha was trying to do something very mean. Felt like you were just being mean to the player base. So notably here, I have yet to witness anybody send a flyer directly to the center tile, which realistically makes sense. You're kind of inviting death by doing that. So this is interesting too. Big She is breaking this block, one of these edge pieces, the points, instead of breaking the center one, which gives you direct access to the middle with 1 keys, just regular traversing 1 keys. We'll have to see why. I mean, I get wanting to cap this point early on. Is this a Mildred game? Big She usually goes Firkin into Mildred. So I'm a little surprised by Bad Guy's reluctance to not just send the cowbell here and then the creep here. Big She would be unlikely to eliminate the cowbell and reclaim that point, and even if they do, you would then be in position to immediately kill what takes this, because it's presumably another 1 key. And I feel like you could be aggressive down here. A little bad side. I know Big She mentioned in chat yesterday, because they were hanging out after I had queued into them, that they're trying to make bad side work. I don't know what, I assume that's what is bad side. Bad side is one of the new phobies from this update. It is a 5-cost turret. It has an enormous, well, maybe not enormous. It has a pretty chunky set of HP. Damage is alright. I'm not a huge, obviously this is only level 6, so, like, gotta take it with a grain of salt. I'm not a super big fan of it yet, but it is a numbers-based phobie, and I could sit there and calculate the numbers. By the way, that's a dead Gravedigger. That's an ouch down moment. You could just sit and calculate it, or by sit and calculate, I mean just put it into a spreadsheet and figure it out. But I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I'll wait until I level it up. I love how it throws dentures at people. So it looks like Gravedigger trades for Cassowary and Contortio. That's alright, I guess. Big panic point advantage goes towards our orange player. I wonder if Big She, like, was this a mistake or was this intentional? Because I feel like you don't want to give up your Gravedigger like that. I also don't want to give up this Murder Wing. What is happening? I don't know. Are these trades actually favoring? Yeah, they're not. Those seem like some really unfortunate trades for Big She right now. I mean, you can get some hits here. You'll, of course, get the boom. I think you get the Murder Wing. Actually, maybe these trades are fine. Yeah, maybe these trades are fine. This is a bloodbath already, chat. So that's 6, 8, 10, 12. 3, 6, 9, 10. So pretty even. Pretty even. Slightly in favor of Big She. But yeah, that is a bloodbath. Ultimately, Snowball still remaining for Big She. Jar still remaining for our orange player. I don't know, Taco. I like Bad Side Manor's name. Because it's obviously a play on words for Bedside Manor. And it's, you know, a creepy zombie on a gurney. Like, I can appreciate the play on words. I don't know why this cat is here. I guess to help deter an invasion. 10 keys to... Well, now 10 keys. I was going to say 15, but... Yield Creep eats it. This Evo is in range of the Pterodactyl. But I doubt bad guys are going to stay there, like... Although, to be honest, I don't know... I mean, I guess you reclaim the point. Yeah, like, there isn't enough damage here to really threaten it. You could have continued to attack it, I guess. Big She only having 5 keys. You can't, like, pop a Crush more to then let Bad Side connect, so it would be 3 hits total. You know Jar is dead and Snowball's out of the way, so there's just, like, no way that they can kill it. I guess they could have a flyer. I think Big She used their... Yeah, Murder Wing's dead, so it'd have to be, like, Tooth Fairy. That panic point advantage is starting to weigh on Big She, like, about half health at this point. I don't understand this baby Snaky unless it's just explicitly for the purpose of event points. 6 Phobies, so bad guy has 6 keys left. They're hanging on to him to see what shows up. And Big She playing it patiently. Little Blinky action. Blinky, in fact, will tank this. There's really no way for bad guy to get in there and connect with that. I mean, you can hit it twice with Jar, once with Pterodactyl, and then, like, a Crushmore, I guess. This isn't enough damage, is it? Yeah, it shouldn't be. Though, admittedly, there's not much Big She can do to retaliate. The bad guy's slowly giving ground here. So the lobbers here in these gaps is something I've seen a couple times already, because I've actually played Rise to Stardom more than the other new maps, and we've seen some other games on it. It's cute positioning and, like, the obvious thing. I don't know how much it's going to matter here. I mean, it clearly deters the Blinky from going in, because it'll just get annihilated. But yeah, Big She has to do something at this point. Jar. Oh, no, not going for the Jar. The positioning here with the Snowball also makes it awkward for our orange player in the north, because if you kill this with Blinky, the Blinky will die. Never mind, it was low enough that the cat can do it solo. Evo looks like it lives through this, which is bad news. Canine body blocking, though. Panic points in favor of Big She, so you do have a little bit of time. Is Rocket Man still hard to use? Yeah, nothing has changed for that. Unfortunately, Rocket Man... I mean, as far as I know, Rocket Man still kind of overperforms at certain levels. But I don't even remember the last time I saw a Rocket Man. Let alone one that did something meaningful. Wow, the Blinky lives? Oh no, the Maggie! Got him. Evo's still dead. Presumably it dies to Jar. Like, this kills Cassowary. This beats up here. This kills Jar. Or kills, Jar kills Evo, rather. But I guess Big She now can claim these other panic points with impunity. Meaning that they pretty much forever have a panic point advantage. I mean, Bo is toast, but there's still one key left. You have mobility. You're tanky enough that they can't really engage. Like, bad guy's just dead in the water at this point. I don't even know that I would advance at this point. I don't really see a point in letting the Firkin get hit here. This clock is very slow, only a 1 panic point advantage, so I get the desire to advance. But it's not necessary. Ah! Bad guy 100% did not see a... I keep saying bad guy out of habit, but, like, Our orange player did not see AWOL coming. Got him. So that's why you bait with the Firkin. What's hilarious is that the disease from the tile is so low that even AWOL is going to tank it. Tank 2 hits of it, nonetheless. Big She making a case for bad side manners here. I don't know how much bad side actually mattered as compared to, like, anything else, but... Very interesting. So we didn't see a lot of what I've seen up to this point on this map. I've seen a lot of Terraform. I saw more lobbers. I know I tried Akira stuff. I've seen other people do a number of other things. This was very unique. We saw a bunch of flyers, which we were kind of expecting more of going into the patch, but once I got on the map, it's like, oh yeah, you're actually kind of exposed. This was very well played. Very interesting. GG. All right, let's see what Shadow Force and New Brain have got for us here on Morbidity. At least I think this is Morbidity. Another boom early on. This is interesting. So why is this interesting? Well, the boom's obviously very vulnerable early on. So, like, yeah, you'll cap this point, but then it probably dies to whatever the follow-up from player 2 is. So I don't like the boom. But it's also, the more interesting part is that our orange player elected to go with Murder Wing to the point rather than Snowball to the center point. Yeah, like, this is what I'm talking about. The boom has to immediately retreat and, like, does nothing. I don't hate boom as a play in general, but it feels way more niche than people are, like, turning it into. It feels like it's too ubiquitous right now. Maybe people really are falling into the Onda trap and being influenced that way. I don't know. Onda makes boom look good, though. I mean, yes. And that's why I don't think that, like I said, I don't think boom is bad, but boom has its place and its role. Are all the 3 Rangers mechs? Well, there's Chuck, if that's what you're asking. Like, are there any non-mech 3 Rangers? Mechs do have the most, but there are at least Chuck. We're just kind of getting repositioning here. I get protecting the Murder Wing from the creep. Well, I guess the Murder Wing's also covering this point now. I'd almost rather, like, let the Murder Wing get poisoned and then try and force an engagement with it before the poison kills it. But our orange player's going with Akira. God, are we going to see 2 Akiras lose tonight? I mean, this feels like an Akira map. This one is not nearly as restrictive where you could position Akira safely in a variety of places and still be able to do pulls. Counter Akira. Guess what, chat? We're going to see another Akira lose. And we're going to see an Akira win. But there will be an Akira loss in this game. That one undead cat launcher. Mildred, that's not 3. I mean, I guess technically it's 3 range due to the splash. Tooth Fairy! Tooth Fairy actually spits teeth at you. That's horrifying. That is, in fact, horrifying. No one wants the center tile. I can't really blame him. So how is Shadow Force going to kill this boom? We just going to Akira everybody? That's a Melina MK fatality right there. Yeah, she does do the nail spit thing in one game. What game does she do that in? Russell, MK3? I mean, it would have to be in Trilogy, because she's not in MK3 or Ultimate MK3. But Trilogy is on the same engine, so... Akira Yoink number 1! Alright, poison onto Akira. Beauty supplementing the forces but retreating? Okay, so all of this was just to... All of this essentially was to get the poison on Akira. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 maxed out, though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 also maxed out, but notably a damaged 1 key, and obviously the creep's going to die, so Shadow Force has the opportunity to resupplement. However, there is the potential that our orange player's just going to get annihilated by this beauty. Level 5 and level 16 Akira, respectively. Because, like, if they Akira here and pull everything, this beauty can go here. Well, it would have to go here. No, it can't reach. Orange player would have to step farther out of line for it to matter. Wait, how did this creep get diseased? Why did it end? Oh, it must have got pulled in because of the Akira. Got pulled in because of the Akira. So I would anticipate Shadow Force, something's going to die unless orange player has an enormous level of restraint. And then I don't know if Shadow Force has a Blulian, but presumably that's what's going to make an appearance. Oh, that Russell's dead. That Russell's probably going to die. Well, I guess the creep can body block a little bit. Because the Russell's going to get pushed forward. Shadow Force's Akira's not ready. However, it's just, like, it being here just feels dangerous. This can hit it, this can hit it, this can hit it, this can hit it. Admittedly, they'll be exposed or vulnerable, but more vulnerable than exposed, I guess. Muffin to start things off, fair. 9 keys remaining to 5. Clinico instead of Blulian. I don't know if that's a Blulian isn't available or, you know, what the story is there. This is a level 13 Russell, so it's not an insignificant amount of damage being taken here. It's not going to be lethal, so the Clinico is going to have time to heal this up. Whereas the poison here on this Akira is lethal. Oh, man, that's brutal. Trying to get the value out of their Akira. Sniping the Clinico, locking out the heals unless Shadow Force wants to invest in like a Metabot or something. Dr. Dermic. Getting a stabby takedown here. I was going to say you could put put Murder Wing up here. I almost said stabby. But you're going to get bombed then. So it's kind of like 6 and 1 half dozen the other. You get bombed here anyway. This just kind of, like... The Russell was okay, but it... And Russell's okay on this map, but Shadow Force did the correct thing. Pushed up with some Phobies to make sure that you could free up space for healers. The Russell damage just couldn't do enough in time. Once you freed up some space, the healers came in, and then all of a sudden, it was your better Akira plays versus their weaker ones. On top of the Akira level disparity, and 8 keys invested in Russell that probably were not worth it. Shadow Force just kind of dominated this game. There's a new McDonald's Hamburglar ad. It's news to me. That looks like a dead ray up in the north. It is! That's a panic point advantage, and, yeah. Oh, by the way, Ted. This one's all over but the crying. There's really not much bad guy can do. I was about to say this body blocks out the squiggles, but it doesn't. Although it realistically is irrelevant. It doesn't matter. I can't decide if I like the Tooth Fairy animation, the attack, or not. Like, it's a good animation. I'm not saying, like, oh, well, this looks like shit. It looks fine. I just can't decide if I like it or if I'm, like, too unsettled by it. When it attacks, it looks like a weird donut that's, like, summoning nails. Which I know are teeth, but... It's also cool, like, how the... Like, obviously, Tooth Fairy and Blinky are similar designs, but they are so wildly different. So wildly different, it's incredible. BWAAAAM just because you can, I guess. What is even left? Oh, it's the Electrocat. Wait, time out. How does this game go on? Like... Oh, by the way, Ted. I guess Shadow Force just straight up doesn't kill the cat for some reason. By the way, I just don't need to. The hilarious part here is that this cat can't even reach another panic point, which is funny. Cat almost sniping the beauty. It would have been a better setup if Shadow Force manipulated it such that you could have BWAAAAM'd. Oh, yes, they did! There it is. BWAAAAMing the cat. That's why they dragged it out. Well played. Well done. GG. I don't know how much there was to learn from that particular game, chat. It kind of felt as though Shadow Force just straight up beat the crap out of their opponent there. All right, Onda. Probably our last game of the night. Let's take a look at an Onda game. Like I said, we're just going through people's profiles, people that typically hang out towards the top end of the ladder. See what new things, new phobies, new strategies, and new maps are showing up. So Onda elects to go with a Gravedigger opener here. Now, this is interesting also, because you'd expect that there would be a break here. Like, this would be your first break, so that way you can set up capping this point relatively quickly. You can't do it on one because you can't get the one key through there. But instead, it's a break here and sending Cowbell to the north. This allows our orange player to slide in with their own snowball. It also means that hypothetically this snowball can just cap this point somewhat safely. Electric Hat survived, though, in the last game? Yeah. Art didn't, though. That's a little unfortunate. So bad guy doing... keep saying bad guy. We're not, like... These weren't submitted games, at least this back half of games. These are just games that we picked up, so force of habit. But our orange player here, notably taking a weird line. They could have capped this point and this point, but they're choosing not to by keeping this cowbell here. The cowbell could have gone here, and then the snowball could have reached. 3, 1, 2, 3. And then, yeah, it's out of play for like a turn, but it can obviously get right back in. So as we saw in other games, a lot of mechs, disease tiles here definitely makes sense. Here's the thing about the disease tiles, and the poison tiles to a lesser extent, because the poison can, of course, be cured. The disease on them is low enough that I don't know that boops really matter. Like, you would think, if before we found out the numbers for the disease tiles, and we saw the disease tiles, I think everybody had the thought, oh, well, displacement effects are going to be bonkers. You can just push or pull an opposing phobie onto those tiles, you get it diseased, and yeah, they'll have a turn of acting before the disease kicks in, but it should kill them relatively quickly. Or you can pull back and then you just wait a couple turns. But the disease here, it's only 185. It's not a lot of damage. It takes a long time to tick through things unless they're dimensional, and even then, it's not an enormous amount. You could, for example, put a Boolean on the board and then just park the phobie on that spot, and you'll probably net health. Unless your Boolean, I guess, is like... I don't think it's even possible. I think the minimum a Boolean can do is like 225. Could be wrong about that. But point is that it's not an enormous amount. Now, our orange player here is already maxed out on phobies, electing to go for that one key at the bottom, getting Gonzos adding to their forces. But Onda, of course, with the attractor means that there is a big threat. Panic points are even, though. I've talked about it a lot. I keep saying it. I'm not a fan of maps having even panic points. For example, it might be very cluttered, but imagine if there was a panic point right here, right in front of Hevo. That might be too much. However, what it means is that you can't have a stalemate. Now, this map may not stalemate anyway, because as we were discussing a few games ago, just clack my teeth together and it hurt. As we were discussing a few games ago on this map, it does seem to have some qualities of Heart Rush. But we'll see how this one plays out. It looks like Akira might end up positive on the night, chat. It's technically 1 and 2 because it lost a game, then it won and lost a game because it was on both sides. So maybe it'll end up at 500. Unless you... Well, I guess it's 500 no matter what. I was going to say if you ignore the last game, but then it lost the first one, so whatever. Trying to be clever, chat, and it didn't work out. I don't really get hiding the Gonzo all the way across creation when, like... Blasto, huh? Hiding the Gonzo back here when there's already, like... I don't think there's any way the Gonzo dies. We'll hydrate. Because what could have happened is Onda could have yoinked... we all know what's about to happen now. Onda could have activated Yoinks, then pulled with the attractor, but I don't think there's enough damage to kill the Hevo, let alone Hevo and Gonzo. Now, this is notably 4,464 hit points on this level 19 Blasto, by the way. We're in those kind of stress levels, chat. These are some big numbers. That's a... What? Okay. Wuffalo, the anti-Akira, I guess. I don't know. Good heads-up play with the Firkin. But, yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't matter. This is almost painful to watch. I have to imagine that Onda already clipped this. Enormous oof. 7, 14, 15, 16 to 5. This is why in replays we need a scoreboard counter like on screen, like a drop down of which Phobies died so you don't have to pause and go to the vault. I think that would be cool. Just drop it vertically below. Undead whale, what? Yep. Technically, the whale is not the phobie. Technically, the whale is not the phobie, believe it or not. Bad guy trying to get some retaliation in. I'll be honest, it doesn't matter. Oh, wow, the Hevo lives. Oh, my God. This is kind of like the Shadow Force game. Our orange player, and again, I keep saying bad guy, so I apologize. I don't know what to say. This is kind of a massacre. Less... Oof. Realistically, the game was over on the Kaboom play, but still. Onda... I think Onda is just being a nice guy here. Allowing them to Wuffalo something. Wait, what? Why? If you put Wuffalo on the board, don't you... Oh, yeah, it's Firkined. It's Firkined. You're right. It's Firkined. It's Firkined. I forgot. Don't get me wrong. None of this matters, but still. Down goes Erratic. Down goes Bad Guy's Hopes and Dreams. I think I would have gone for the panic point. Not that it makes any difference whatsoever. Not bad, Onda. Did Bad Guy have Heartbreaker? You mean, did our orange player have Heartbreaker? I have no idea. Maybe. I don't think Heartbreaker would have made any meaningful difference in this game. With no Abyss tiles, Heartbreaker into Akira, I feel is kind of asking to just get your Heartbreaker lit up. Yeah, that seemed very textbook Onda, that game. Not gonna lie. Kind of like the Shadow Force game, we didn't have a lot to go on. Like, what did we learn from either of those games? Don't get Akira kaboomed. Don't get Akira in the Shadow Force game. It didn't feel like either one really brought us new knowledge. But definitely interesting to see in both games. GG. All right, chat. And with that, that brings this week's game breakdowns to a close. We'll be back next week. Back next week for more Phobies action. Of course, have variety tomorrow night. However, I'm going to miss some streaming days next week. One other announcement that hopefully people are making it all the way to the end, signups for Fright Night 10 will be going up this week. Keep your eyes peeled in the Random Thoughts Discord, and then I got to send everything over to the Phobies team to get that posted with the big announcement as well. Signups for that are going to be going up. I know people have been asking. I had alluded to it last week and earlier this weekend, but just putting it out there once again. Hopefully we can get the weeklies going soon. I had a whole bunch of real life stuff, and like I said, I'm going to be missing time next weekend, so I didn't want to kick them off and then be like, hey, we're on this week, we're off next week. We're on this week, we're off next week. We're gone for 2 weeks. Then it's not really a weekly event. We're just having smaller events. So those are the news items right now. Like I said, I probably should have said them at the beginning, but it is what it is. But that's going to do it for tonight, everybody. So as always, everyone, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And Black Lives Matter.